Which one was 71? Did you turn it on? Oh, yeah. Did you turn it?
Yeah, it's on.
All right.
The Twitch people are currently hearing, and they're hearing but not seeing, and they aren't hearing much because neither of us is talking. They'll survive. It's Twitch. It's fine. There's way worse content on Twitch than this. I mean, there's probably better content too, but you know.
From what I've seen, most of the content is just painting. People painting.
I just mean in general.
So
there's better content.
Yes. I thought you meant just Warhammer.
No.
Warhammer content.
It's quite a staple of young ladies to play Apex that you can watch.
That is true. Yeah, I can be watching Lorado Pantano playing BioShock 2.
I could watch Shroud play World of Warcraft, which is stupid. Why would I watch anybody
playing original?
Yeah, I think so. Why would I watch anybody play World of Warcraft?
Someone's playing Starbound, and there's 2,500 people watching them.
What the hell's Starbound?
I don't know. It's a rebroadcast, though.
Grimm's is playing Among Us.
These are from my recommended channels.
Oh, I'm watching the followed channels. Summit 1G is playing Escape from Tarkov.
All my followed channels are 40K ones, so none of them are online right now, except for us.
Let's see. TSM Imperial Hall is playing Apex. Somebody else is playing Apex. Apex, Valorant, Apex. Those are all my recommended ones. Baby Nikki's playing Apex.
Mine's Starbound, Warhammer, Just Chatting, BioShock 2, VR Chat, Art, Dungeons & Dragons, Just Chatting, and Total War Warhammer.
Why is there an ASMR recommended for me? I don't ever listen to ASMR.
I don't know, John. Why is there ASMR recommended for you?
Man, they must listen to the jokes hard. This algorithm. Man.
Hey, Pocono Pete.
Pocono Pete.
Yeah, he said hi.
I know. Is he from Poconope?
Pocono? The Poconos?
The Poconos? Oh. The ASMR person is...
That's Danny.
No,
Danny does that.
No, I'm trying to see who she is. It's she. Oh. I just don't know why I would know. John's voice is totally... It is Fused, we know. We're aware. That's why they make the joke all the time.
That's why we have John do the announcements.
That's why I do the LVO Judge video.
Yeah, it's total ASMR. Mm-hmm. 40K ASMR. He said, keep going.
God, way to make it weird, guy.
Why gotta make it weird?
It was weird enough already. You're gonna make it worse.
Pocono's out from Pennsylvania.
Is that where the Poconos are?
I don't know. He just said that's where he is now.
Oh, okay, got it.
It's a lively state at this point.
Lively?
Yeah, because that's where all the legal challenges. Pennsylvania.
But they're not really legal challenges because they walk into the courtroom and the judge asks them, as a member of the bar, are you legitimately saying there's fraud? And they have to say no, or they'll get disbarred. It's not really challenges. It's just...
just saying...
It's political theater. And if you want to know how well that goes, ask Lincoln.
At least there's some theater going on.
So they put some theater on TV.
Yes.
I can watch Hamilton all I want on Disney Plus.
Oh, yeah. Still haven't watched it.
Oh, the star witness who was drunk today? Born Again Man Child? My favorite one was, I don't remember who the actress was, but some actress on Twitter, in the thread about her, was like, I call Gain to play her in the movie. So, damn.
You gotta stake that claim early.
Apparently. Good Lord. Lincoln joke too soon? You know what? That joke was actually made by somebody else on one of my Facebook posts today. So I made it again. And somebody else said, that's too soon. Guys, it was 1865. It's time to move on, people. It's time to move on. He got his head on a mountain. He's good, right?
Yes, and a giant statue.
Yeah, the Lincoln Memorial is one of my favorite things.
I enjoyed Vietnam for personal reason, but I also enjoyed the Korea Memorial.
The Korean one's cool too. Did you do them at night?
No, this is. I have a whole issue with what happened when we went to Washington D.C. and we went there in particular, but we did it during the day.
Is it a
Towards the end
wife's
of the
fault?
My wife wasn't there.
Sister-in-law's
It was the
brother's fault.
Possible future in-laws' fault. And it was a rush tour of Washington D.C., which I did not enjoy. I mean, I enjoyed it, but didn't let me see some of the stuff.
You got to do when there's not COVID. You got to go to the steps of the Capitol at like 10 p.m. at night, and then you walk all the way down to the Lincoln Memorial. So you go past Washington, which is really cool, and you're going down past all the Smithsonians, and it's all lit. And then all these memorials are open because they're open all the time. Yeah. And you can go through World War II, through Vietnam, through Korea, and then into the Lincoln Memorial. You get there, if you walk and you take your time, you're probably there by like 11:30 midnight. And they're super awesome at night. Hey, Danny.
Yeah, we went to the reason it was kind of cut short because we went to Arlington and that took longer than we thought it would.
Arlington takes a while, especially if you want to do it well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's at least a 2-day trip or 2-day excursion, I think, for Washington D.C.
Yeah, easily.
We did get to go to some of the Smithsonian museums, which was actually really nice. Arlington was nice. I watched the Unknown Soldier, whatever, pageantry or whatever you want to call it.
You know it says not recording on Squadcast, right?
I know.
Okay. Yes. You're just going to record that part when we decide to start?
Yeah, I started now.
Because you cut all that other stuff out, right?
Yeah, that's fine. Well, it's on the Twitch, though, so...
Yeah. John says it's not his fault, but I'm going to blame John anyways.
Seems fair. Which John are we talking about?
Oh, no, John, it was my brother. My brother's fault had to do with crossing the country, not Washington, D.C.
Oh, that's right. That's that story. Okay.
My brother rushed us basically crossing the country. I got to go to Antietam.
That's cool.
That's all we
I've never done that one. I've only done Gettysburg.
That one was nice. I like that one.
Yeah, I have not done any of that stuff. I feel like I should. But...
Valley Forge is cool. I've done Valley Forge before.
Yeah, so we rushed through the rest of the country. So my dad wanted to go to see Graceland. He wouldn't let us. I wanted to go to Roswell. There was a bunch. I wanted to go to Gettysburg. There was a bunch of places we wanted to go.
I've heard Roswell's not worth it.
No, that's fine. Well, but my dad wanted to go to.
I mean, it's in New Mexico. How worth it can it be?
Hey. I mean, that's fine. That's true, but stand up for the New Mexico peeps here.
Do we have anybody who listens in New Mexico?
I'm sure we do.
I've never even run across anybody at LVO from New Mexico.
Patrick Birding?
No, New Mexico's a myth.
He's from New Mexico. So is Gilberto.
Oh yeah, good old Gil. I haven't seen Gil.
They're from New Mexico, as in they used to live there and now live elsewhere. So that doesn't.
Well, they
count.
Live here.
I have a friend in New Mexico, a real one, a person who lives and breathes.
If you're just turning in, this is now the History and New Mexico Bashing podcast with a side of ASMR.
Supposedly their chili peppers are really good. New Mexico.
They do have good chili.
Yeah.
I like White Sands, New Mexico. My uncle was stationed there for a while when he was flying the F-117s, so we would go and visit him. It was pretty cool. White Sands is cool. See, New Mexico people, I'm not all mean. just mostly.
All right, let's get started.
Hey, it could be worse. I could be actually doing the ASMR thing like the one guy wanted.
We might get more listeners.
God, do we want listeners that way? I sure do.
As long as we don't cut to what we actually look like.
Yeah. Do we get subs? I mean, really, it's not what matters.
Does this mean I get an OnlyFans?
The way things are going, you might have to.
I know, right?
We'll see, huh? All right, I'll count you in. Ready?
All right.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of TFG Radio. Hopefully, everyone had a nice and safe Thanksgiving weekend.
Today we're in quarantine.
You were. Yeah. I was not. I was at the 3 maximum number of groups or whatever it is for household or 3 households.
Yep, we followed the rules too, and then didn't post anything about it on social media because we didn't want any comments from people being stupid.
See, I was going to not follow the rules until literally the week before Thanksgiving. There's a COVID outbreak at my son's preschool, so we were forcefully quarantined for 2 weeks, and we were getting ready to go. And literally, I think this is the day before we were supposed to leave on our trip. We finally got added to like the parent email chain of the parents in our classroom, because we had never been on that apparently, because no one likes us, or our kid maybe, I don't know. But
could be your kid from the stories you tell us. Not gonna lie.
Anyway, podcasting's a visual medium. But we find out like Sunday that like, oh yeah, like 4 kids have tested positive from his class, and the last one that was there was like the last day he was there. I'm like, oh, so our infection window is much bigger than we thought it was. Our tests are meaningless. So it's like, oh, I guess we're not traveling.
Nope.
All right, continue quarantine. Yay.
Nope.
Well, as you can see and hear, we have John once again on the Wheels of Steel, and Danny and myself, Adam. No Tom this week.
And screw you, guy in chat, who's like, my 4-month vacation is over. In order to have a vacation, I've got to get paid. I don't get paid to do this shit.
Yeah.
So a few things have happened over the course of the last couple of weeks.
It definitely wasn't 4 months. I'm gonna make everybody pay for this. I'm gonna be the worst ever now. That's it. We're done. Just fucking call it.
One of the things that got announced and is a chronic issue that we're seeing now is GW announced their, I guess, annual Christmas box sets for the different factions.
Actually useful.
Which one?
The Tyranid one is useful if you want to play Tyranids, or you do play Tyranids. Like, it's actually useful.
If you want to play like strikes.
Yeah.
Well, that's the issue. They're hard to come by. I think they're not just doing it with those battle boxes. It's a lot of things are now, from what I understand from the stores that we've talked to, and what you've heard from other podcasts or other shows, is that they become. Like, some stores are only getting an allocation of 1. Or
hey, it would be really useful? It'd have been really useful if they had a production center outside of the UK.
Well, we'll see.
Well, I mean that begs the question. You know, people can speculate all they want, so I'll let John do that in a minute. But you know, it becomes a question of, is it really a production issue? They're just not making enough, or is it that they are purposely not sending a lot of product to independent retailers to force people to buy from them?
When am I ever going to remember the damn tinfoil hat for the stupid show?
So that is the question. There is speculation about that. And John, go.
I honestly don't believe it's a conspiracy. I think that in this case, they literally just aren't producing enough because they're doing stuff too much. I think that, at one point they did have production here in the States, didn't they? And they shut it down.
I don't remember.
They've always had a warehouse in the States.
That's right. But they also had more production at one point.
At
one point they liquidated. Hey, what was that word we were supposed to ask Danny about?
Wastrel.
How's that pronounced? Is it wastrel or wastrel?
It's spelled, I think, Wastrel.
As in, like, your wastrel children.
I think it's wastrel. I think it's.
Is it wastrel?
I don't think there's anything. Yeah, it's wastrel.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, there's because it's, again, waste is the key word there, so there's no reason to change the pronunciation because there's an L at the end.
And everybody listening to the show just went, "What the fuck?" Sorry, we had to do that. We were discussing that before. I think we were even live. I used the word, and Adam thought I pronounced it incorrectly. They did have something in the States, I think, for production at one point. I swear.
I don't remember. We did. I know we had they had a place to hold in a warehouse.
Yeah, I know there's a carton or a container of like Eldar Falcons at the bottom of the ocean someplace, right in the Atlantic.
That happened. That did happen.
There you go. Underwater treasure divers. Here's your chance.
Yeah.
Cash into the 40K market. Because everyone
Yeah.
uses Falcons now, right?
Yeah. See, KR Quinn is correct. Baltimore was the old HQ.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember because I applied for a job way back then to work in Baltimore.
You didn't get it?
No.
Shocking.
But now everything's in Memphis.
Memphis.
So, yeah.
Memphis is a fun town, man. I know what you're
So
complaining about.
that's where the new warehouse
I'm not complaining.
is.
I've never been there.
I
fun
drove
town.
through there with my brother, as I mentioned previously, but that's about it. We weren't allowed to stop anywhere.
And full circle.
Yeah. Memphis barbecue.
Roll
Pretty good,
credits.
pretty good.
I'm not bitter. Hashtag not bitter.
No, not at all, apparently.
So I don't know. Like Danny said, I agree with John. I don't think it's a conspiracy issue to generate more sales to their website.
Yeah, what's the phrase? Don't attribute to malice that which you can be explained by whatever.
Yeah.
By
But it can
stupidity.
adequately be explained by stupidity.
Right. I
Which
just
is
think
how
they're
I
not
try
producing
to live
enough.
my
I
life
think
that
that
way.
they got
Yeah.
hit by Rona like everybody else, and their production is backlogged, and they're not willing to
Slow
not
down.
do their release schedule, slow down the release schedule, and they're just willing to do what they're going to do.
Yeah,
Like,
I
that's
mean,
what they did with Indomitus, right? Like there were no Indomitus boxes, and then they decide, well, okay, we'll produce them as we go, which was the smart move. But like, I mean, if you didn't realize with the release of 9th that they're not going to be able to produce enough for the releases, then I don't know what to tell you. Like if they can't produce enough for their marquee release, their once every 3-year release, they're not going to be able to produce enough for like your random Christmas box set guy.
I mean, there's also the part of it of how much, I mean, it's one of those questions of, I don't think we can know without actually talking directly to the people in charge, but of like how much are the box sets determined by what they think is actually a viable like force, and what do they have a lot of stock of, and where they can actually kind of piece it together. And that could limit it, because if they're like, well, man, we've got all of these Hive Tyrant boxes just sitting here, let's throw them in this package, yada yada, and that helps us. But the thing is, I mean, part of that is you look at the contents, at least with the Tyranid boxes, it has Hive Guard in it, Hive Guard, Tyrant Guard, and those are hard to come by, right? Because every Tyranid player, if they have any sense of how this game plays, is going to have at least 6 of those fuckers, right?
And they've had them for 2 editions, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
7th and 8th.
yeah.
So,
So
I don't think it's a conspiracy.
No, I think it's just
It's
not
more
enough.
fun to be a conspiracy, though.
It is more fun. I agree. It's way more fun. We'll save the conspiracy theory for the ASMR cast on the TFG Radio Only Fans.
Yes,
Finally.
but I'm wondering if like John mentioned, that they can't skip a week or two maybe of releases, because at this point for the last few years it's been basically something every week.
Yeah, I mean, and part of it, if you look at their their stock price and their profits, it works, right? Like the rapid fire releases has been working for them. They are selling a lot of product. Yeah. So I'm sure the financial folk are like, yeah, guys, like, do not stop.
They get mentioned in the same vein as like Tesla now on up and coming companies during coronavirus, because they're actually turning profits and like doing really well. Their stock's doing amazing. It's not like the company is doing poorly. They just can't meet demand. And maybe part of not being able to meet demand is it just hasn't grown enough.
Their production,
Their production, yeah.
They supposedly built another facility, but I don't even know if it's up and running yet.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? It might not be up and running because maybe they can't get it up and running. They might not be able to staff it.
Or,
and there's been second round of shutdowns already, right, in the UK, I think. Yeah. So
I mean, it could even, depending on, again, I know they do a lot of production in the UK, but their raw materials, the plastic and things like that, maybe they're shipping, the shipping of the actual raw materials is getting delayed because of Rona, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, supply chain is ridiculous.
Yeah, so it could be they've got a larger factory or a second production house, and they've got staff, but if they're not getting the actual raw materials in on time, right, but they're still keeping up with their release output, then you could see easily how that would suddenly, you would have to be like, okay, well, we were going to produce X number of these boxes, but to be able to have enough material to produce these things, we need to cut that by 30, 40, 50% or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
where they're basically what's the term? Basically rationing their raw materials because their shipments are so sporadic.
Right.
Right. But you know what they had plenty of? Blood Bowl.
Okay.
Gee, I wonder why.
Why is this even on our show notes?
Because I like Blood
Adam
Bowl.
loves
That's
Blood
fair
Bowl.
enough. I played the video game. Does that count?
No.
Sure, because the game more or less plays just like the video game. If you ever played the video game Blood Bowl or Blood Bowl 2, it's almost exactly the board game.
Okay, so
the
Blood
tabletop
Bowl 2 is exactly like the game. Why the fuck? Why the fuck was Jeff making the claim that the game is a way more strategic and tactical, the best GW game? And I'm sitting there like, my games of Blood Bowl 2 are fucking miserable because they're absolutely ridiculous in terms of like, I do something and they're like, oh no, you can't do that. Why? Because you didn't roll correctly and this guy rolled like, it's so stupid.
That's Blood Bowl. Learn how to play better, John.
It's not a matter of learning to play better. I know what the right play is, but I can't do the right play. Why can't you do the right play? Oh, because you chose the wrong army. What?
there is that the teams in Blood Bowl are not balanced. I'll tell you that much.
But he claimed it was balanced.
I never claimed they were balanced. I claim it's
Jeff.
probably their best game.
I was going to say Warhammer or GW themselves even said that they're not balanced, right? And the Blood Bowl preview that the community site put up, they literally said that they're like tier lists of armies of like, these are very forgiving and, are much easier to use for players to be successful. And, these are more difficult and they're, they're good, but, you have to know how to play them. And these are not really meant to be competitive and they're just kind of for fun.
Yeah.
He claimed it was the most balanced by far. It's a fun tactical game. It's like chess with a little luck thrown in. None of that shit's true.
It's all true.
This is
like Han Solo said, it's all true.
It's all of it.
None of that.
All of it. So I just bought the rule book because I have more or less a human and orc team already.
Yeah, I need to get the rule book.
I
guess I should get that from Gameology.
They did change it so it looks more like 40K and Age of Sigmar, where they show you what you need to roll as opposed to giving you a value and you trying to figure it out.
Right.
And they added a passing skill, and the reason they added that was to differentiate between a regular lineman and a thrower. A thrower is more specialized for obviously passing. In terms of elves is where it was kind of not being used correctly because you would never take an elf thrower because you would just take an elf lineman who has the same agility,
right?
And use them as the thrower and bring up their skills. You know what?
Now, screw elves.
That's yes.
Like
they still do everything on twos in Blood Bowl. So that hasn't changed. But the passing skill is not done on twos. I think it's actually done on threes for a passer and fours for the lineman. Mm-hmm. So it incentivizes you to take a passer.
Which one's the one where they can pick up the hobbit and throw it?
That is halflings. That's a halfling team.
That one. They have the giant that picks them up or whatever.
You can do that with a halfling team, a goblin team, a snotling team, and a ogre team.
The orcs can do it too. They can throw a...
Orcs can do it because you have to take a troll and a goblin.
Yeah, I did that in one game. I took a troll and a goblin just so I could throw the troll or the goblin around when he has the ball. I lost terribly, but it was a lot of fun to throw him through.
But you felt good about it.
Yeah, I did. I felt really good about it.
It's funny because you can actually throw the player onto the opposing players.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Ooh, is there a team where I can toss a dwarf?
No. The ogre team you can kick.
I feel like that's a missed opportunity by GW.
Yeah.
There should totally be a team that can do dwarf tossing.
I took an ogre.
You open up synergies with the Lord of the Rings, right? Like
every one of the and you can only throw the one dwarf model that's modeled to look like Gimli.
Yeah, and he has to have a special rule of don't tell the elf.
Yes, right? Yes. If you pass your don't tell the elf roll on a 5+, he scores.
Yeah, I bought an ogre team, like and in the ogre team there's basically a kicker, and what he does, he kicks the Noblars instead of throwing them. So, and you only take those types of teams like the goblins, snotlings, halflings, ogre. Those are all hard mode teams more or less, and the rule book even lists the. They have them called they're by tier, and they list which teams are harder to play. So now you know going in if you didn't know before.
How hard are orcs to play? Because that seems to be the one I always try.
Nah, they're one of the better, more forgiving teams.
Well, then why do I
Same with
lose so
Lizard,
often?
same with Lizardman.
We already discussed this because you're a bad player.
I feel like
we've
that's
already-
fake news. I'm not bad
We've
at
already
anything.
established that.
I don't
You just-
understand. How can I be bad at things I'm white?
Oh, trust me, that. Nah, I'm just gonna stop now.
I'm not going.
Anybody listening to this podcast for the first time, I'm not serious. I guess that is a danger, that there could be somebody listening to for the first
For the
time.
first
I should
time,
be
be
a
like,
little bit
"What the
careful
fuck?"
of what I say.
When are we ever careful?
Well,
True.
we probably should be more careful. but
If you
whatever.
said is correct. Blood Bowl has a very large following, and even after they closed it down the first time, it was still kept alive for like 20 years afterwards.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what is
but
it?
only by like basement dwellers like you, Adam.
No, it's different. It'd be different if it was like because it didn't have other game systems did not have the same fan base as Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl has a large fan base. Battlefield Gothic, Epic, they all have fan bases, but it wasn't as
like Blood Bowl.
large or as robust as Blood Bowl.
I mean, if you think of it this way, what is it like? There were a bunch of Blood Bowl knockoffs that came out
Yes.
between the
Mantic
The
had
Death
one called
and
Dead
Rebirth.
Zone, and
Guild
Steamforged
Ball.
Games had Guild Ball.
Guild Ball was fun. I actually like Guild Ball, but like the moment Blood Bowl came back, GW like put Blood Bowl out, like man, they pretty much all the other games died because all the people who were playing them were like, oh, I just missed Blood Bowl. It's like,
Well-
oh, here's real Blood Bowl. Let me come back.
What's funny is Steamforged Games actually basically discontinued their Guild Ball game, and the reason was that it's the way I read it was that it's too perfect, and if we do anything, we don't want to make any other factions because it'll just it'll cause imbalance in the game. So
They
we're just
didn't
gonna
literally call their own game too perfect, right?
They didn't call it perfect, but the way they described it.
Paraphrasing.
I'm paraphrasing. So the way they described it, it made it seem like the game is perfect the way it is, and we don't want to ruin it by adding more teams. So
Nope.
instead, they just cancel it. They
Yeah,
just stop
sure.
making-
I don't want to make this
Absolutely.
thing. I don't want to do this thing that makes money because I don't want to make money. Sure, I don't believe
Yes,
you for 1
that's-
second.
That's
I,
more
you
or
know
less-
what? I went to the doctor and they said I was too healthy. Could you believe that? Too healthy. That's what that sounds like.
So I'm actually excited about Blood Bowl. They're getting once everything comes back to semi-normalcy and games are being able to play. We are going to play in it. I'm playing ogres, and we'll see how it goes. I don't know if Danny's going to play. I know you have your lizardmen.
If whenever I get again, if I actually ever get a chance to get a couple hours and a place to play, I will fucking play whatever game you put in front of me.
Well, we'll see. The new rules are the new skills. They have a few new skills that are interesting, and some of them are you can tell they made it just to counterbalance certain other skills that are really good. And the passing thing, but the rules for in general are more or less the same. There's not that big of a difference. It's just subtle changes. I even bought a little stadium seating MDF thing where you can put your team. It's once I build it, I'll show everybody on the Facebook page. But it helps you keep track of the store, your players, and there's little stands. It's really nice, at least to me.
Hey man, you can like what you like, no judgments.
But
Don't let John make you feel bad.
Oh, I don't. Trust me. So yeah, so that's
He'll
Blood Bowl.
judge you
We'll get John to play.
I'm not even talking.
We'll
Your
get,
eyes.
I'm just looking at the chat.
it's all in the eyes. In addition to all that's happening, they announced at least the Blood Angel book. They haven't announced the Death Guard book, but they gave us some previews for both those codexes. And I'm curious your guys' thoughts on what they showed for the Blood Angels first, especially in regards to the Death Company.
I mean, that's a lot of attacks.
Yeah, for those that don't know, the Blood Angels during the Assault Doctrine get a bonus attack in addition to their what was it called? Shock Assault bonus. And then if they're in the Death Company, they get a third +1 attack. So it's a total of +3.
Yeah, it's
In addition, the Death Company gets let's see, what was it called? That's Flesh Terrors. The Death Company get what they're calling Where is it? The Black Rage. They're Black Rage. Death Visions. There's more than one, and you can choose
That's where
one.
they think everybody is Horus.
Well, the one they're showed is called, which is kind of a long name, is called On the Bridge of the Vengeful Spirit, where they basically, like John just said, think everybody's
That's
Horus.
a special rule.
It's one of their Death Visions abilities. They have like they have three of them. Delusions of Sanguinius' final moment, and you pick one of the three for the game.
Okay, to be clear, Sanguinius had delusions in more than just his final minutes.
Yeah, all it says is this allows you to pick from one of the three delusions of Sanguinius' final moments to apply to your ill-fated character, or goes for a character, once during the battle. So then the one that they show is basically infantry character or monster character, which might be a dreadnought. I don't know if a dreadnought's a monster.
Swarm Lord.
No, it has to be a Death Vision. Enemy character or
enemy
monster.
character
So yeah,
monster.
Swarm Lord. Is visible to it. Doesn't even need to be
near it. Yeah, it just has to be. You don't even want them to be near you, because the bonus for On the Bridge of the Vengeful Spirit is you get bonus attacks for every 5 enemy models within 6 inches.
Yeah.
So you just want to be able to see a big monster on the other side of the board and then have chaff in the middle and start being a blender.
How is being in your mind at the point of your Primarch's greatest failure in life a benefit to your models in the game?
This is total revisionist reading of that scene. Sanguinius specifically knows he's going to die fighting Horus, and does so to weaken his armor so the Emperor can land a death blow.
That's what Leman Russ already did it when he stabbed him with the stupid spear. He already did the chink.
It's written in like 30 different places that the Emperor could only blast Horus's soul out of existence because Sanguinius took a chink out of his armor. Right? So that Sanguinius specifically just weakened his armor. Sanguinius is fucking psychic. He could see the future. He knew he was going to die. That's the whole nobility of his story. Of then with the way he's juxtaposed against fucking Space Batman is that they both can see the future, and Cruz goes mad with the knowledge of how he's going to die, knowing he will die. Right, while Sanguinius embraces his duty.
Cruz
right, he walks into his death and chooses to walk to death nobly, right? Like to not let it destroy him, the knowledge that he will die fighting Horus. He does it because he knows he has to, and he does it without, complaining about it, and he does it without fear because it's just the way it's supposed to be. Right? That's supposed to be the juxtaposition between the two.
You know what I dislike so much about Sanguinius?
What?
He's like perfect. In the most imperfect lore of all time, they decided to keep his perfection. They break down every other Primarch in the lore. Like in the Horus Heresy series, they have broken all of them down. Every single one has had all their different flaws exposed. But Sanguinius, his flaw is, I don't want to be in charge. Don't make me do things. Fuck you.
Well, again, that's not a
flaw.
I thought his flaw was when he almost turned to corn.
Did he almost turn to corn, though? I remember reading Fears of the Tread, and I don't remember it being like, oh, no, he might turn to corn. No, he's a badass who destroys a freaking bloodthirster.
No, I think it was with Sanguinius's. I agree he's one of the hardest Primarchs to really like because he is perfect, right? Like, you just can't attach to perfect characters, right? Like, we attach to characters more on their flaws than their strengths. But Sanguinius, I feel like they always modeled after like the story of blending the kind of usual like Lucifer and Michael story of having him be kind of both, of being beautiful like Lucifer, but being kind of the perfect son like Michael, where again he doesn't even want to rule, right? He doesn't want to be the eldest son of God. He doesn't want to be the leader of the legions of angels. He just wants to kind of do his duty quietly and move on and blah blah blah. So I think they really keep with that. But it just becomes that problem of how do you write a character who's perfect interestingly, right? That's why that's why you got to give your characters flaws. That's why why like Jagatai Khan and Salamander's guy, Vulcan. Why they're interesting is like because Vulcan is like very perfect too, except like you see one of his flaws of like that he cares too much and he knows that's a problem, right? He sees things from a too personal level, not like the macro level to be a great leader that he's supposed to be.
He's also allows himself to be used,
right? And he knows that, right? Like he's very kind of a doormat, honestly, with the others.
The other Primarchs are able to use him too easily because they're able to manipulate him based on like. He just cares too much.
Yeah, and that makes it interesting because your flaw can be noble, right? Like your flaw can, it doesn't have to be like Angron, where it's like, what's your flaw? You're just fuck ass mad all the time, right?
And the poor guy, that's not even his fault. The butcher's nails get to him, man. Like, the problem trying to blend Michael and Lucifer is stupid.
Yeah,
like you can't take that thing from like it's an iconic story from the Bible, right? Michael and Lucifer. You can't
it's not
take...
from the Bible. It has absolutely nothing to do with the Bible.
But like Lucifer's falls in the Bible.
No, it's not.
What am I misremembering from my Catholic school education?
Yeah, no. It's in Apocrypha. It's in books that are not part of the Bible.
Yeah.
And it's like again, the myth of Lucifer doesn't appear into Christian mythology until like the 6th century.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's I mean, again, that's why you should always be suspect of any Bible translation that uses the word Lucifer instead of Satan. Right.
But anyways, you're taking those two characters who only ever exist. Right, as
to be diametrically
opposed, right? And then you're like, oh, let's put them together. Like,
it doesn't. Guys. Again, you should never have a perfect character because perfect characters you do not attach to,
which they learned with the Emperor because, like in the original lore, the Emperor is like perfect.
Yeah,
and they've really gone. Yeah, this dude's not perfect.
I know. I mean, he's not. I mean, my favorite story is the short story of where he destroys the last church on Terra.
The last church is a great one.
Because it just shows it shows both like his kind of nobility of like I believe in what I'm doing. I am trying to protect humanity, right? Like I'm a intelligent, reasonable person, but then also the like, dude, you are fucking crazy, right? Yes. Like you are the most uncaring son of a bitch on earth. Yep. You have no connection to humanity whatsoever.
A lot of his scenes with Vulcan show you that too.
Yeah. Well, and that's
is it Vulcan Lives? What's the one where Vulcan goes to Earth? Vulcan.
This is why we need Tom.
Vulcan's Journey to Terra, whatever the hell the name of that one is.
Oh, it might be Journey to Terra.
It's not called Journey to Terra, but something like that. In that one, when he talks to the Emperor at the end and realized just how manipulated he was by him during that entire course of that novel, and he's still like, "Cool, I'll stand guard at this door."
Yeah.
To like all the demons in the world. That's fine.
Right.
Like,
I mean, again, that's what makes Vulcan.
Could you not be a pushover for 5 seconds with your father?
Yeah, I see. That's a good flaw that doesn't make your character inherently like where you're like, ooh, right? Like it's like he's cares too much and that blinds him to other responsibilities, right? Jagatai loves to hunt too much, right? Like that his just like pursuit of like I love to fight, I love to live life, that exuberance of like I love the thrill of the hunt. It's like, dude, that's not always the smartest idea, right?
Right.
Even Gilliman of like being too anal retentive, right? And like just thinking he can understand everything and he can organize everything.
I mean, he basically sees himself as the Emperor Junior.
Yeah. But again, like, so anyway, we were talking about Blood Angels and this went too long.
Well, real quick, John.
What the hell does Dan the Kraken mean by I don't look like he thought I would look?
You don't look like he thought you would.
I'm skeptical about being complimented.
When you talk about the most senior LVO judge, right?
He's not the most senior. He's the most well known.
How do people not know what I look like?
Oh God!
Yeah, you have your professional headshot.
Oh, that's right.
I did use the professional headshot for last year's article. That's right. I forgot about that. That was
read the novella, the Magnus one that came out when it comes out on paperback.
No.
No, you read it because what's his name? Vulcan's in it.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to say Lee Morris bitch slaps him again or something because that was my favorite.
Well, you should read it. I think you'd enjoy what Vulcan does. And it's also a good. There's also a conversation between Magnus and the Emperor and Malachor, and it's really good. It's a really good book.
Okay.
Especially if you're following the Siege of Terra.
Yeah. Oh man, Saturnine was awesome.
Yes.
I love Saturnine.
There's one scene that just gave me kind of the chill because I can get kind of claustrophobic sometimes.
Are you talking about the siege drills?
Yes, and how they try to stop them and what happened.
Did
to
you
that
listen
one
to
group.
it or did you read it?
I read it.
Yes, yeah, I listened to it.
I can only imagine what it sounds.
Especially because Jonathan, the guy who reads it, I think is Jonathan Keeble. Dude, he does a good job, and I was like, oh man, this is not good. let me out.
Yeah, that's the scene. That's like one of the scenes that got just like
had to hit stop, go outside for a second, and be like, it's okay, it's okay.
Breathe.
Did I ever tell you about my moment doing that with Silent Hill 3?
No.
Oh, really?
We were down. My parents just after graduating high school, my parents got a beach house down in Newport, and we were vacationing, and a friend came with me, Paul. If you guys follow the Street Fighter scene, Paul DeCure, Black Skills something or other, he plays professional Street Fighter. He and I were down there with my parents, and we took my PlayStation with us, and we were playing Silent Hill 3, and there was a scene. We were doing a playthrough, and it was like 2 a.m, and something happened, and I don't remember exactly what it was. We entered a room, and there's a bunch of mannequins, and we're like, it's kind of weird. We don't really know what we're supposed to do. We turn around to leave, and there's like this loud scream and a boom, and as you leave the room, and you like go back in, and all the mannequins like burst or some nonsense, and we were just like, what in the fuck? Because like the sound on the TV like went up, like they did that thing with the game where everything's kind of low and then super loud, and we were like, okay, we need a minute, and we went outside and we're like, cool, we're at the beach, it's fine, this is Newport. That's kind of how it was with that scene where you're like, oh man, the walls are closing in.
John, Dan the Kraken said he thought you'd look like a basement dweller.
That's
why I said, like, the most
rude,
the head judge of the LVO, you think of, think of whatever.
He's from California. We don't have basements.
That's true. We're forced into the sunlight.
I mean, Hollywood, old LA does, but for the most part,
you won't want to go in there anyway.
Well, I used to go down there all the time.
Well, I don't go to Hollywood. Hollywood and Glendale, I avoid both of them as much as possible.
Well, I had to work in Hollywood, which I enjoyed immensely. Glendale, not so much. I've worked in both, so
a couple good restaurants in Glendale.
Hollywood was
you
bad.
have to be in Glendale.
So you take your life in your own hands, right? You just.
And if you're from Glendale, everybody listening to this, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. So don't at me.
Like I said, I enjoyed Hollywood. I did enjoy Glendale somewhat, but Hollywood way more, especially at night and on the weekends.
Guys, Jesus Christ, man.
I've told you guys the stories, or most of them.
You have.
So
they're amazing.
Yeah.
But Death Company, if you can get them there, seem good, and that becomes a question of, I think, how do you get them there?
Well, now that regular Firstborn Marines are also 2 wounds, you can still take the jump pack Death Company guys.
Yeah.
Instead of taking the unless you just like the way Assault Intercessors or Death Guy Intercessors.
Yeah, but
Death Company Intercessors.
6 Intercessors and Impulsor win.
With a 4+ invulnerable save.
No, it's 5+ now.
Oh, 5+.
There's
Yeah,
5+.
They nipped that one in the bud.
But
yeah, I'm not
it's
sold on BA being that great. They're probably fine.
And again, it becomes down to, can they get charges off, right? Like, can you, because, what made them actually workable in 8th, if you knew what you were doing, like Thomas, right? Thomas Hedstrom Oakley, who could always take them to the top table, is you have so many movement tricks. They had so many ways of charges out of Deep Strike, right? Like just these long bomb charges that I don't know if they're going to keep those. Hopefully they do, but I don't know if, there's, whispers on the wind that they don't.
Yeah, the whispers that they lost the 3d6 charge.
Right. So then it becomes a problem of, okay, you have these badass melee units, but can they get there? No. Right? Because especially if you're playing against another savvy player and they're like, oh shit, you have Death Company, those things will mulch through anything in my army. They're just like, oh, well, I got a turn to gun them down, and there it is, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to do that when it's like, those fuckers can show up at any time, anywhere, because then it's not like, okay, I've got a turn to kill them. It becomes, okay, I need to delay them. I need to feed them until I can kill them, right? Like, and that changes your planning, and that's a lot harder planning than just, okay, focus fire this unit down turn 1, right?
Right. Yeah, like I said, I think that the hardest part is just getting them there, and even with the jump packs, they still have the Forlorn Fury, so they still get that free move at the start of the game. So
I got in an argument in a Blood Angel group yesterday. Actually, it wasn't really an argument. I made one comment, and I think I made a follow-up comment, and then people commented back for like 40 things. Like I eventually just unfollowed the thread because I was like, I didn't actually post here because I cared.
It's like, look, I was trolling you guys, whether you understood that or not.
Somebody was asking if Asterath's face is a death mask or if it's a face. And I'm like,
I've seen that picture, yeah.
And I'm like, it's a face. And they're like, dude, people went off about how it's a death mask and how are you stupid. And apparently this is a thread that was in multiple Blood Angel groups, and I was not aware that I was wading into nonsense. And I was like, well, I'm muting this, and I don't want any more notifications about it because I actually don't care about this at all.
It's like, wow, everyone here is really overestimating my interest in this topic.
Yep. I was like, no, I don't actually care about this that much.
It's like, oh, look at that.
Because my first comment was, man, some of you guys weren't playing this game when that model came out, and it shows.
Oh, yeah.
And then I made the mistake of responding with what my opinion on whether or not it was a mask was, and it went on for shenanigans.
Yeah, I think if you left it at that first comment, that would have been fine.
You know what? I had a moment of weakness. I'm only human.
Well, the other preview we got was for Death Guard. And it's kind of a light preview, but it gave you a kind of overall about some things. Like they showed that the Plague Marines basically get the extra wound. Still T5. Everything else looks like it stayed the same. Well, they just showed
Plague Marines. Just showed Plague Marines, right?
Yeah, they just showed the Plague Marine. Then for Possessed, their Horrifying Mutations is now still -2 1 damage strength user, but they're considered a plague weapon, which gives you certain reroll bonuses. Okay. And they get an extra point of toughness, which I think makes them toughness 6. I think I can't remember because it's Nurgle. The big thing that stuck out to me personally was the fact that they made Demon Engines ballistic and weapon skill 3+. Which is a big change from at least 8th edition, and I think 7th edition also. Because for a while, and I think since 6th, almost all Demon Engines were weapon skill, ballistic skill 4+. Yeah. Even in the Forge World, and then in 8th edition, the Forge World book had all of them as weapon skill, ballistic skill 3+. But the Codex was still 4+. And I think the point values were a little higher. So if you're willing to pay that little extra, you can get a better shooting demon engine than you would if you used them at all, because they still weren't that very good.
Right.
But the stat they show is the Defiler, and it looks like everything's about the same. They get more attacks because I think the old Defiler only had 4. And then they up the weapon and ballistic skill. But I think the Plague Burst Crawler is also a 3+. So I'm assuming, and they also mentioned that the upgrades will carry over to the other Heretic Astartes armies. So that is going to include Mauler Fiends, Forge Fiends. I think that's really it. I don't know what else there is. All the other stuff is Forge World. And Forge World, if you looked at it recently, their stuff is already a 3+. Like, I'm already making a list that has a Greater Breast Scorpion. Because it's like 50, like it's way cheaper. It costs the same as about a knight, and they actually, like I mentioned last episode, I think they actually up the wounds to as much as a Castellan, so it's 28 wounds, and you ignore any movement modifiers when you charge, and you still roll three dice when you charge.
Yeah, that's really good.
So I'm wondering if for like Iron Warriors players, you may see a lot more Iron Warriors bringing Demon Engines like Defilers. If they stay cheap, because right now you can get a cheap Defiler for like 140 points. Same with the Mauler Fiend. And I didn't really price out the Forge Fiend because I never liked the model. But
really, I like the Forge Fiend. Oh, I like the Mauler Fiend.
The Mauler Fiend's the one with all the tech.
Yeah, I don't like the Forge Fiend. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, the Forge Fiend is the shooty one.
Yeah.
But and then
I have a cannon in my mouth. Hey, I have cannons for arms.
And then
cannon
if
while
you
I cannon for your cannon.
And then if you have the oh shit, I forgot the name. The Lord Discordant, then now they hit on 2s instead of 3s. If that rule stays.
Mm-hmm. Right.
This all assumes none of those rules don't change. They could change them. But for right now, if things stay the same, then you have Defilers and Mauler Fiends and things hitting on 2s.
Pretty good.
Yeah, which is pretty good. So I'm wondering how much more Demon Engines you're going to see. I mean, I already have 3 Defilers. I have 3 Mauler Fiends. So I'm set in that regard. In terms of Possessed, if the Possessed get the same boost for regular Possessed as opposed to the Death Guard Possessed, I might buy more. But some people are thinking maybe they'll limit Possessed to only 10 models instead of 20. Because they're getting the extra toughness.
Right.
You know, but I don't know. What do you think? I don't think either one of you plays Chaos. I think I'm the only one.
I play Chaos. What are you talking about? Well, I play like World Eaters.
You play World Eaters.
I play Chaos Knights for a little bit. I played Death Guard at the end of 6th. No, the end of 7th.
End of 7th.
Yeah, that Death Guard is cool.
So I don't know. I don't know if it's kind of hard because
Chaos Knights are fine. That's Chaos.
I do play Chaos Knights too.
we don't know the rest of the Death Guard book, and currently Death Guard seem to be the only like competitive Chaos Codex. So I don't know if these changes are enough to help Chaos in general. I'm willing to give it a try. I'm not, only because I like the Demon Engines in general.
Right. Well, they're pretty good. I mean, now at least, and they're cool models if you have them.
Yeah, I think the 3+, the better weapon, because what dissuaded me from ever taking like Defilers and Mauler was the weapon skill.
Right.
You could buff them now with the Lord Discordant, but that's another 200 points you have to invest to make them better.
Yeah.
And if I really don't need, and they ignore the heavy penalty because they're vehicles.
Yeah, so that makes them a lot more accurate, a lot more workable.
Yeah, so if I have a Greater Bat Scorpion walking around with 3 baby scorpions in terms of Defilers.
What about the Khitan?
The Khitan, they lost. It's basically a regular walker. They upped the wounds, so I think it's 26 wounds.
So you buy 3 and run them as Chaos Wardens. That's what I'm hearing.
They have more wounds than a regular knight by 2, but they don't have the an auto advance 2d6 anymore. So they're just like you just said, they're basically a knight. Mm-hmm. They're much cheaper. They're only like 450 or so. They're sub 500 points. So, but that's basically it. And they're a demon engine, so you can run. There's certain things you can do because they're a demon engine. But I right now for 100 points more, I think the Brass Scorpion might be better.
Mm-hmm. KR Quinn, right. I think GW releases Death Guard first because of popularity. I think Death Guard is an extraordinarily popular faction, and that's why not only does it get a lot more love in terms of models, it gets released first before regular Chaos, and even Thousands.
Which man, they went from 0 to 60 in like no time in terms of like just models and popularity
and everything else. Yeah.
Because when did you see a Death Guard army before their codex, their first codex?
You didn't. But you saw lots of people who liked Death Guard and had Death Guard armies, but they didn't get fielded. So I think I think GW must have really good metrics and an idea on like what gets sold and why, because there's a lot of people who had Death Guard armies. There's a lot of people who painted pre-heresy Death Guard armies to run them kind of as whatever they wanted because they just wanted the paint scheme. There was a lot of, I don't know what people love about being plagued and dying of plague, but people love Nurgle for God knows what reason. I guess they love having like, I don't know.
Because Nurgle's a
virulent diarrhea. So I don't know who loves that, but sure.
Because he's the happy god. He's actually the one that, isn't just
I've had this discussion.
Nobody's happy with that. Ask the archers at the Battle of Agincourt as they're fighting without their pants. Dysentery.
I had many discussions with Travis when we would talk about this.
Oh, I know. He
So
loved Papa Nurgle.
he loves Papa Nurgle. I was always a corn guy, so
I'm a how about I don't have a god that wants me dead kind of guy.
okay. So you're atheist, or yeah.
The
So
40K version of that.
yeah, I'm a 40K version. I don't want to deal with any
You
of
know
them.
I like playing Space Marines because they don't believe the Emperor is a god.
That's true.
Most of them don't.
Most of them. Well, and I don't play factions that do.
So yeah, so and
Trump
obviously
is
again,
Nurgle.
yeah. So
Oh, we're not gonna get
so
into
we
that, but
don't.
that's fine.
Yeah, so people like. I think people like that jolly, almost like old Saint Nick type of vibe with Nurgle. For some weird
What
reason.
about a pestilent pile?
I mean, I'm gonna make. I would make a comment, but I'm
says
not. You
Santa.
know,
I'm
maybe
just
it's just all the. Maybe it's just all the Nazis.
Oh God.
Again, I still remember watching that group explode like
Oh,
several
the Death Guard,
times.
the Death Guard
because it
group?
happened several
Yeah.
It
times.
did
There were
happen several times in that Death Guard
There
group.
were, it's like
Yes.
people would make a Death Guard group, and then it would be going fine, and then all of a sudden people would be like, "Oh yeah, here's those like," and it's like, "This is a Nazi symbol," and people just all of a sudden be like, "Well, yeah, we're Nazis," and just like, and like people being like, "Dude, like I thought, like what the fuck?" I mean, I remember the first time I'm like, "Wow, like." People, it was like, man, it must be like 5 dudes who are just psycho. And then it happened again. I'm like, these aren't the same 5 dudes.
Yeah, then the last time it happened, it basically crushed that particular group because it was a fairly large group.
It was, yeah, I remember that one.
Luckily, the latest Nurgle groups aren't that bad. So, but so I'm looking forward to see what else Nurgle, what else they show for Nurgle, because they're going to show more, I guess, Plague Host specific stuff. Hopefully more stuff that also translates to regular Chaos, so we can kind of see what the regular Chaos guys are going to get.
I want my 2 wound berserkers.
Well, you're going to get it. I'm surprised they
really
just
good.
didn't. I'm surprised they just didn't do that. I wish they would have put out something in the FAQ or something. Just say the following units have 2 wounds. Boom.
Because
Done.
I don't think Chaos is a popular enough faction for them to care enough to do it.
I don't know. I would have to. I couldn't say without sales. I mean, it's weird because we live in SoCal, which is like
It's a Chaos heavy
central.
Chaos
meta, yeah.
So I don't know what it's like somewhere else. You know, if it's like, oh man, you play Chaos.
Yeah, what is it
cool.
about
I've never
having the
played
best
Chaos.
weather in the United States that makes everybody want to play the bad
We
guys?
do not have the best weather in the United States. Fuck that.
It's
Dude,
not
I'm
the
sorry.
best
It's
weather.
120 where I live in the summer, right? Like,
Hey,
That's
guy,
a you problem.
guys, stop ruining our California narrative. What are you doing?
no, Santa Barbara has the best weather.
Yes, those are the most expensive
Yeah,
because
if
of
you
that.
live by the
You're
coast,
paying for the
yeah.
weather.
If you live by the coast, then you can say that.
Yes, that's why San Diego has good weather.
Yeah, exactly. San Diego. Now there's quality weather.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to see what else they come out with for the Death Guard. I'm gonna, once they do come out, I probably will try a Demon Engine list, both for Black Legion because that's what they're painted as, but I may try an Iron Warriors list because of the buffs that they give them with their Legion traits.
All right.
But like I said, I don't know why GW just didn't put out something saying all they have to do is say the following units have 2 wounds. That's it, and there's not a long list. It's not that hard. You know, so whatever. What do I know? I don't work for them. So one of the things being discussed lately also is LVO. If you listen to Frontline, excuse me, if you listen to Frontline lately, they, in regards to canceling, they have not officially canceled LVO, but they did say, that basically plan on not going or for it not to happen.
Yeah, because the way Vegas is right now.
The way Vegas and the way Nevada is with the lockdown,
Yeah.
I think they're just starting their lockdown for 3 weeks, and that takes them basically towards the new year,
Yep.
and that leaves less than a month to get ready. So if you don't plan on going, or if you're just not going to go at all, especially the way the numbers are looking overall, not just in like California or Nevada or any place else. Now we do have the vaccine, but that's going to take time, and it's not going to be. To be honest, I don't think it's going to be in time for
Definitely
most
on
of
time
us.
for LVO.
Yeah, not for LVO. So it's my personal opinion, not Frontline's opinion, that it's not going to happen. Like I said, if you listen to the latest signals from the Frontline, they did state that more than likely it's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I know.
Yeah, I think they were like, it's very unlikely to happen, is what they said. I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they said I just listened to it this morning, and they were basically 90% it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So
it's unfortunate, but that's 2020. That's coronavirus time. That's what it is.
Yeah, technically we had LVO 2020 already, so this is just
true.
2020 taking LVO 2021 because
arguably the most memorable LVO so far,
but
for all the wrong reasons. Yeah.
Why?
All the wrong reasons.
Because that's when Kobe died. We found that out on Sunday.
Yes, that's why.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah, exactly. There's also a meme about John of LVO.
What? There's no meme about me at the LVO.
Did it have to do with a spreadsheet? I thought something like that.
Why would it have to do with a spreadsheet?
I don't know.
Why are you trying to trigger my post-traumatic stress disorder?
KR Quinn is LVO is 99% canceled according to Reese. So
yeah.
So and there's I believe 4 options if you already bought a ticket. Is obviously one is for a refund. You're not going to get it right away. They said it's going to take a while to process, especially since they'll probably get a lot of refund requests. One is to apply it for next year. The other one is, I believe, to leave it as a donation. And I forget what the fourth one was. I forgot. But I think a lot of discussion is, I know in our team chat, the discussion is of why would you give the donation to someone?
They're a business. Why are you going to give them free money?
Yeah, I mean, in most people's cases, when you buy the ticket, it's more or less that money's gone no matter what. Because sometimes you'll pay for something and you may not even attend. Like I think I paid for BAO, but I ended up not going one year, and I didn't even bother asking for a refund.
This year for Bay Area Open, I had a ticket and SoCal. I mean, they canceled both, and I said keep the money.
Yeah,
like
we're not saying for you. Yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, for us, that's more or less why. But everyone's situation is different. For some, like when I had to cancel both Hammer Wrath, and Battle for LA, I gave the same options, and some people rolled it over, and some people just took the refund, and some people just said keep it. There's no right answer. It's whatever fits
you.
Yeah, it's whatever fits your situation. So
yeah, I mean, it's just what is it?
I think go ahead.
I was gonna say Jeff, I think, put it pretty well in the team chat of just like Frontline does a lot of work besides LVO, like running the ITC, and so if you're really a big fan of the ITC, right, like, and they do that free, ITC still doesn't cost anything to anybody to participate in. And
people love to shit on the fact that like they have a Patreon for ITC. Why would I give money to that? What do you want there to be prizes? And like, do you want it to be well run and administrated? What the fuck, guy?
Yeah. And so, it becomes if the ticket you spent or, the $100 you spend on your ticket, like you're missing that, you're like, man, I really need a fucking $100 right now or whatever I can. Then get a refund. Like,
yes, of course.
And if you totally forgot that you even bought a ticket, then maybe just be like, oh, well, I'll roll this over to next year because I'm definitely going next year. So now I got that out of the way. Or if you're just being...
and it helps guarantee there will be a next year.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And if you're in the position where you can just be like, fuck it, I'll buy a ticket for 2022 and they can just have my money for 2021, then great. Like, just do whatever works for you. Just, don't necessarily be a jerk about anybody choosing whatever option works for them, because there's a lot of other factors, and it's not as simple as why can't they just why aren't they just giving everyone their money back? Right. It's a much more complicated answer than that.
Well, and then the other thing is like, why is there a non-refundable 10% service fee? Because everything you buy tickets for has a certain amount of it that's non-refundable. Like, that's standard business practice, guy. You have a certain amount because you've put a certain amount of work in, and that's that.
Right.
Well, it's also because whatever ticketing program or company they use, they take a cut.
Right, and that usually covers that. Yeah.
And that's sometimes what that covers. Like when people ask for a refund for my tournaments, I let them know up front, well, BCP or whoever I use, they're taking their cut, so I can't get you that money back because I can't. There's no way for me to do that.
It's gone.
I don't have that money.
Yeah, I don't have that money. My $2.
Yeah.
So that's just be glad you're getting something back. Not there's some places I know, like back before when people used to take flights, or some hotels, they don't give anything back. It's like
Right.
You I told the story when I was
That happened to me with Thanksgiving.
When
Speaking of hotels.
That happened to it almost happened to Alan when we were coming back from
That's right. I know,
from
right?
Boise. I told the story before where we were coming back in the hotel, and when I travel with Alan, I let him book everything because I don't really want to be bothered with it. But he booked a hotel that was a bit shady. Let's put it that way. It was behind a Mexican restaurant that still had signage when it used to be a Chinese restaurant. And for some weird reason had the Flintstones car on the side.
All of these are thumbs up for me. None of these are red flags.
And there was nobody at the desk. We couldn't even find basically the lobby desk. And we found someplace else, and when he called, they were like, well, you don't get a refund. Now Alan's tactic was basically to say, oh, that's okay, which some people would maybe not, take that stance, but his response was, that's okay, I'll just cancel the transaction. And or he'll just
call my credit card company and tell them to decline the transaction or whatever. Dispute the charges.
Dispute the charge. That's what it is. That's what he told them. And he told them up front, I'm just going to dispute the charge. And it's funny because they talked a little bit more, and he said it like 2 or 3 times. He didn't just say it once. And eventually what ended up happening was they just gave him a credit, which he would probably have used. And he probably would have got another hotel because I think it was through hotels.com. Right. So he basically got a credit for whenever he used it the next time. So I just thought that was funny. But sometimes, some places won't let you do that. And if all you have to pay is a convenience fee or whatever, the transaction fee, whatever they want to call it, as long as it's just a partial payment, not like the whole thing.
My favorite one is the people who get kicked off of plane flights because they're assholes and then get mad because they don't get a refund.
Like, well, don't be an asshole.
Hey. So we'll see. Depending on your situation, just get your refund or donate it however you want.
Yeah, whatever you want. But don't be a jerk about it to other people.
I'm curious if, and Reese hasn't really said, I don't think, or at least I haven't heard him. I'm curious when the season is going to end, if it's going to end. Are they just going to roll it over to next year, or are they just going to end it when OVO would happen?
I don't know. I feel like you just end it and you start over. Yeah. Like, why have points from February of 2020 rolling into the 2021? Like, it just doesn't. That seems clunky. And whatever they want to do is fine, but to me it seems weird. It's their thing. It's their baby. We have no influence on that whatsoever. We also have no real insider knowledge of any of the.
No, that's why I'm asking. I'm curious what you guys think, Danny.
No, I think you just call 2020 the dark year,
done,
right?
And like it never happened.
No, I mean, I think if you can give some support, recognize obviously the people who won, right, and just be like, this is a very special year. I think they should be very forthcoming. It's like whether it doesn't matter that it, all these major super events didn't happen. You guys still played. You played your ass off. You deserve your recognition. But then also but acknowledge that like there was no Nova, there's no LVO. Right, there's none of the, there's no SoCal Open, there's no Adepticon. Yeah. There's none of the huge, like, when we think of like the marquee linchpin events of the kind of competitive 40K community, none of them happened. So to be able to say, I think would be fair to say the season gets an asterisk. That's just what it is. It has an asterisk. That's okay. Acknowledge the people, but also acknowledge that like things would have been very different had these major events happened.
Yeah, you put an asterisk like you got to do with the Astros and the history books, and you got to do with every season that Barry Bonds played.
Like Barry Bonds, yeah.
Yeah, that other guy.
And there's nothing wrong. I mean, again, you could juice me up all the fuck you want. It does not mean I'm hitting that many home runs, but you still have to put that asterisk, right? Like,
you can give me all the steroids in the world. I'm not gonna be able to hit the ball out of the ballpark.
My favorite is comparing his baseball cards.
Oh, I know.
Oh, his rookie card
versus
the size of his head.
beanpole bonds, and then ripped out, roided out of his mind.
That's how you know That's how you know someone's on steroids, because their head grows, and that just doesn't naturally happen to you as you age. Of like, my head went up 3 sizes.
Yeah. Oh my God, yes.
And that's why you can also tell real natural bodybuilders, because like they look like fucking bad children's drawings, like all out of proportion, because they got like these massive fucking like chests and shoulders and like small heads and all this, because you're like, oh yeah, no, that guy's natural, he's clean.
Yeah, I
their
imagine
necks
more
are
or
bigger
less,
than their heads.
I imagine 2020 not being there, but like someone like Fuse had just said, just 2019, then skip to 2021.
Like 13th floor, he said,
Yeah, like skipping, and I've been to places that don't have a 13th floor. They call it like the mezzanine or patio. They call it everything except 13th floor. Now, sorry, buddy, there's still a 13th floor. Just because you don't call it that doesn't mean it's not there.
How unrefined, denying the imperial truth. Being all superstitious.
All it means is that LVO 2022 is going to be just a fucking madhouse.
It'll be fun.
That's a lot of pent up 40K. Yeah, no, I'm very much planning that already. A lot of
pent up something, I'm telling you.
You know what that means, Dan? That's the second year in a row we haven't had the dinner.
I know, it's killing me. I look forward to that. You know what? Part of it is I think back of like, man, what was the harbinger of this just shitty ass year? And like, you know, obviously,
so it's all like BCP's fault.
No, that was just it's never the harbinger's fault.
I'm saying
it's just what it is. Yeah, no, BCP cost me my favorite meal of the year.
Yes.
And it just kept sliding down because, you know, on the grand scale of things, that's a pretty like, you know, bullshit problem, right? But then it's like, Australia's on fire. Yeah, Australia's on fire. Kobe dies. And then it's just like, and now we got a little bit of an uptick.
Corona hits.
Dodgers win, Lakers win, you know. So that was nice.
Yeah, but now Lakers, Dodgers, we're on the climbing back up. What do you mean?
Everybody doesn't love the Dodgers and everybody doesn't love the Lakers?
I wouldn't know.
Who are these people that are fans of other teams?
Yeah, they should get the asterisk too, though. To be fair, of like you won in the Rona season.
I feel Dodgers, yes, because I feel like with sports that almost makes it harder because there was no home field advantage, there was no crowds. You were stuck without your family. You had to overcome a lot of other stuff.
No, but there's less games, and like part of like literally, especially in like basketball and baseball, part of the science of the game is avoiding injuries, resting your players, right? Like, and when you have short seasons, that does change things, right? Like
that's the year. What was the year with the basketball strike with Jordan? I think that's the year.
Oh yeah.
That was a shortened year. Baseball, I'm actually glad it was shortened because I'm not a fan of the 300-game baseball seasons.
Me neither. Baseball is way too long this season. I love the Dodgers. I love watching Dodger games, going to Dodger games, but I do not need a season that lasts 9 months.
No. I mean, and what was that? That's the whole thing behind like why
it's a whole goddamn pregnancy, for God's sake.
Why the statistical model, which is why owners and coaches push for more games besides more revenue, is that the statistical models they do are more accurate.
Yes, because of longevity.
The more games you have, right? Like because it just purely becomes the law of the law of big numbers. Which is my favorite line. The guy who I forget his name, but he was the Oakland A's dude.
The Moneyball guy.
The Moneyball guy.
Chris
was written about, but no. Well, my favorite line of his is when asked about like why do you? Yeah, it was Brad Pitt in the movie. It's like, well, okay, so the A's make the playoffs and then just die, just get destroyed. And his answer was like, my shit don't work in the playoffs.
Right.
Oh, right. Yeah, because it's only 7 games or 5 games or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes sense.
But yeah, so I say kill because the 2021 season is basically just an abyss. And if you did well, great. I'm glad you got games, but let's not also pretend like this wasn't a very strange season. Then let's go hard in the 21, 22.
The pro tabletop of ITC seasons.
Wow. Wow, there's a name you don't hear anymore.
Yeah, did they finally get arrested, or
they just kind of slowly?
No,
faded.
I think that what 2020 saved them from finally doing something so illegal that they get rode out on a rail like with Halo.
Well, either way, I don't think what they tried to do caught on the way they had hoped.
No,
so I think it's just
weird ass format.
Yeah, but whatever. I'm not gonna
It was
worry
just
about it.
I'm not worrying.
I mean-
I just like to dunk on
I
things.
I know, John. I know.
Anywho.
So,
Look,
so
everybody
that's how
knows
we-
where I am every January. If they got a problem with it, I'm
I
there.
make that same statement. I mean, it's not hard to find us. So,
It's like, and now I'm really looking forward to LVO 2022. As someone takes
I know
you up
you
on
are,
that.
Danny. You have a lot. You have a lot of things to work out, and you want to work them out. So, a little quick update on if we're working on stuff, what we're working on.
Because Kraken didn't know. Yeah, it's like John's actually, don't let the thing see. John's actually 6'8".
God damn, I wish.
Oh my god!
I'm not short, but I'm not 6'8".
I think we're all roughly within a couple inches of each other.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm the tallest, and I'm not like I'm. Oh, do you remember? I saw in the theaters with my friends. Do you remember Once Upon a Time in Mexico? Robert Rodriguez.
Yes,
the line with Cheech Marin, where he's talking about like El Mariachi, and he's saying like people used to say he was the biggest Mexican I ever saw. That's total bullshit. He was 5'9", 5'10" tops. Like bigger than most of us, but ain't no record. And when that line happened, both of my friends who I saw it with, and we're all Mexicanos, they all turned to look at me because I'm like 5'11", 6 foot, like right on that edge. And they're always, I was like, yeah, you're the biggest Mexican we know.
Yeah, and I'm tall. I'm tall for a Mexican, and I'm 5'9". My family's, except for my youngest brother, we're kind of tall for Mexicans. So, but where we at? So, John? What are you working on? I saw you posted a bunch of painting stuff that you're painting.
Yeah, I'm working on Space Wolves in my custom chapter. So like I have it's a black, teal, and bone white army, which I kind of really like that paint scheme. It's turning out
right.
pretty nice.
It's cool. I like it.
So I've got some Space Wolf stuff that I've thrown in there, and then some Indominus models, and some. Okay. I have like a Smash Captain. I've done a bunch of like random stuff for it. I have eliminators, 3 Thunderfire cannons.
Yeah, if you haven't seen if you haven't seen John's stuff, just check out, follow or follow the our Facebook page, and you can see the stuff he posts up there, which I always mean to do but never do. Yeah, Danny, have you been up to anything? No painting bugs, nothing.
No, I've got to repair my Hero Fant because I was like.
Why don't you tell everybody what happened?
I should post that picture on the Facebook page.
Yeah, it's a good one.
For people that don't know, the Hierophant is basically a Biotitan for
it's a Tyranid Biotitan.
It's a Forge World model.
Yeah, it is my pride and joy, the jewel of my Tyranid collection, and this is a guy with like 25,000 points of Tyranids. And I had him, in a special place in my garage, on the shelf collecting dust. And I was like, oh, man, when the new Forge World book came out, I was like, oh, man, I'm going to dust that fucker off. I'm going to make sure he's looking good. I might like do some touch up on paints. Like I'm definitely playing with this fucker. And I had to take my son with me because it's man on man defense when you got 2 kids. I take him with me. And he's like, looking through my models, and they're all in their boxes and stuff. And he's just like, oh, you're taking out the big one. I'm like, yeah, I think it's like, do you want to, I let him paint like my Primaris, like shit that I don't care about. I'm like, do you want to paint with me later? And he's like, my son is 4, by the way. He's like, yeah. He's like, oh man, I want to look. He's a giant bug. And he takes, like, I'm holding it. He literally in one motion is just like, boom, right? Just arm extends all the way up, all the way down.
While he's holding it?
No, like I'm holding it, but he puts his arm all the way up, and then just brings it all the way, his hand all the way down, twists with the hips. I mean, just full like energy, and slaps the fucking thing out of my hand, and it just was careening to my concrete floor of my garage, and right off the base. I'm lucky the damage wasn't that catastrophic, but he lost, got his face got fucked up a little bit, lost a leg. And the leg shattered because this is resin.
Right. So
it shatters. And I can't find one of the pieces of its leg. So it's just going to have half a leg at one point.
It's not like under a shelf or something?
I looked. I cannot fucking find it. Because, kids have the magic power of like they can literally hold something and you blink and it is gone forever.
Now, for those that don't know, Danny's child, who is 4 years old, is built like a linebacker and looks like he's 12.
Yeah, yeah. So when I say that this is not like, oh, it's like, man, why weren't you holding? I was holding on for dear life, but that kid is 50+ pounds, and he knows how to use it. Like again, it was full. I mean, it's one of those things of like, why do I teach him these things? But it was full. Like I'm going to go up, and I'm going to get the tension of my shoulder holding back. So I'm going to get that force, and then I'm going to just snap it back forward, twist with the fucking hips, drop my weight to the opposite side, and boom. And I was just like, thank God it was on a giant wooden ass base, which I was about to take it off of anyway, because I think that took the first blow, so the whole model didn't shatter. But when it bounced the second time into that leg, it fucking shattered.
Yeah.
KR Quinn wants to know if he's still your kid or is he out for adoption, Danny?
He's still my kid. I guess. I don't know. I will admit, like, the stock between my son and my daughter, like, there was definitely a shifting and trading that day, right? Like,
oh my God.
My personal investment there.
When he told us that and showed, you need to put the picture up on Facebook.
I'll do it right now. My phone, I'll do it right now.
Well,
but yeah, at some point I'm going to be repairing that guy.
Okay, so that's Danny's project in the near future because the points went way down for it, right?
Yeah, no, it was 2,000. It was over 2,000 points. It's now 850. So it's still like a kind of like, oh, you get to play with your model, and it's not very good, but I still will fucking play with it.
Yeah, but you can actually include stuff with it. Like with I know the Warhound Titan's a bunch of points lower, and it used to be 2,000 points.
Yeah, yeah. So, no, I mean, I'll take it and probably like some fucking melee Carnifexes, and just like I was like, okay, here's my 15 model army. Yeah, it's fun, and I don't care, and it saves my back when I'm just want to get drunk at a tournament.
Hey, you know what? That's a totally valid reason to use a model.
You will always know how competitive I am when I play Tyranids by how many models I bring.
That's true. For myself, I have a number of projects, but in terms of 40K, I'm debating. I've been making lists for Chaos because of the new Demon Engine rules that we've seen, but I'm tinkering with lists for Deathcore Kree because now they can use regular Imperial Guard stuff. So I think I'm going to start building the Krieg stuff because that's resin. It's going to take a little longer, and then put that. I already put my Blood Bowl team together. It's not that hard when like 2/3 of them are basically snotlings. And the kit was very easy to put together. The ogres I put together without even looking at the instructions, so it wasn't too bad. And then I'll probably end up painting those really quick. But I'm going to put that little stadium seating for the Blood Bowl together, which I'll put up on Facebook once that's put together. And probably work on the Deathcore stuff once I have a list that I want to take. I'll probably make it vehicle heavy because I like the Imperial Guard vehicles and I want to use them. So we'll see about that. So that, and then be after the Deathcore, and I'll post pictures up. I'll probably put together or make a list for Chaos, and it'll probably be a Black Legion and then also an Iron Warriors list. So hopefully
it's up on Facebook now, by the way.
Okay, so if you haven't check on, just look up TFG Radio on Facebook.
Where's my on my way swerving car gift? God damn, seeing that every time. Oof.
Oh, it's so much money.
Oh my God. So that's what I'm working on. I think Tom, I don't know what Tom's working on. He's working on everything because we make him paint all our stuff now. All of the show
I
stuff.
would like to play with our White Scar army at some point.
You need to remind Tom about that.
Or that Eldar army at some point.
I have those models, so once we get to play, I have those. He finished the more or less what we plan on playing with. Yes.
Oh, cool! I didn't know that.
I have them with me.
I'm sure somebody mentioned it, but I ignored it.
Probably. So, moving from that,
know who I am.
Yes, we'll take a few listener questions and comments. Adam,
do we have to?
Yes.
We serve the people, John.
Adam V was asking...
unlike those in Washington, we serve the people.
I would like to give my favorite Thaddeus Stevens quote. I shit on the people.
Adam V is asking, Dark Angel armies have been doing well recently. What makes them work?
Dark Angel armies?
Yeah, actually, they have
one lately.
They have a deep dark secret.
I've only seen one lately that placed in the top 4, at least on 40K stats. Maybe I'm being...
Well, I think part of it is the plasma inceptors. Is that what they're called?
I should have known if this was a question. I would have asked Aurelio. Aurelio Correa is playing them and doing fairly well.
Well, there's the Eliminators.
What, the
Hellblasters? What the
Hellblasters, yeah, because the
Hellblasters and the Inceptors with the plasma instead of the bolt, because they still have that stratagem, I think, where you can charge them up an extra damage.
Yeah, double charging plasma is good, especially when you got 10 Hellblasters.
Yeah,
that's a lot of heat that you can outflank. And then the list I see from the Amiable Blight Plague Wars tournament, 3rd place Gary Sacco. He basically has one giant Deathwing Terminator bomb.
That's right.
With a few guys with storm shields to kind of tank wounds.
Because they have they have the transhuman without having to spend a
and all the things to buff that.
Deathwing Terminators are really good.
Yeah, and then he has one big bomb of them, which is almost 500 points plus the support characters to kind of make them unkillable. And then you've got a big squad of attack bikes, or bikes, with an attack bike and a bunch of bikers, and then you've got the giant 10-man squad of Hellblasters. Mm-hmm. So it's just you bring in your biggest shooty threat, turn 2, turn 3, and because it's plasma and the double charge with Dark Angels, you get one turn of just like annihilating the shit out of something that your opponent has very little answer to. And then you've got this just fucking anvil of anvils taking the center. That's just like, good luck killing that,
Yeah.
And so I can see that doing a lot of work because it can, it gets kills, but it also plays the mission because you just cannot go into the middle of the fucking table against this thing unless you have a way to, basically unless you have a mortal wound spam to clear out the Terminators.
Mm-hmm.
KR Quinn wants to know if anyone's still going to know who we are with no LVO.
Probably.
How dare you? Everybody knows who I am.
I write an article for 2 different websites, so they should know who I am.
I mean, yeah, my articles on Frontline are almost always in the top 3 of the weekly page counts. Has nothing to do with my bots.
Look, it's really hard being me, so if people could forget who I am for a little while and give me a break, it'd be nice.
Jesus Christ.
Just saying.
Or what was the other thing I was to say?
John's like this in the chats, by the way.
He really is. The other thing I say is it only matters that the right people know who we are.
That is true.
It's a decent point, I guess.
We've always been a podcast for the more discerning 40K player.
Yeah, that's how we'll spin
Pocono
that.
Pete wants to know if we're doing a Crusade campaign.
Danny and Tom.
I got another game in. I got another game in against a teammate Carson's AdMech, beautifully painted AdMech army that had like a couple of the big robot bros, some troops, characters, and I play my World Eaters, and it was basically one of those of I got first turn, and he didn't screen out my Red Butcher bomb and plus my Berserkers, and I just I got a second turn, I got to charge off with all of my heavy hitters, and just I lost a lot of stuff, but I was blitzkrieging through his army. I was just eating everything because the Red Butchers put out so many attacks, and World Eaters have so many ways to boost AP, to get get Death to the False Emperor to trigger on a 5+ against Imperium, right? When you're putting out that many attacks, it's just an overwhelming volume of fire. And again, if he had been willing to sacrifice one of his infantry squads on turn 2, it would have been a different game. But yeah, I mean, it's 1,000 points, so it's like things like that really matter. Of like one, it was basically my punch is either going to land and going to do enough damage that I'm going to grind this out, or it's not going to hurt enough and I'm just going to get blown off the table, and it hurt enough. I killed his 2 big robots and wrapped up another unit and killed my Demon Prince. I love a Demon Prince of Khorne with the Talisman of Burning Blood for advance and charge, because he just flew over a fucking ruin and advanced and just charged into his warlord and killed him on turn 1 or turn 2. And the mission we were playing is the only way he could get primary points on the mission to get the big boost was to have his warlord alive. And so when I sniped him out on turn 2, it was pretty much like, yeah, I've already kind of won the primary.
And Tom's not
There's
here,
a
so
lot
we can talk about
less room for mistakes in lower point games.
Yeah, but they're much faster. I mean, our game was over in like an hour and a half, and we were bullshitting. And we played at Jeff's house because it's kind of the halfway point between us.
Mm-hmm.
And so like Jeff would pop in, and we'd be talking to him. We were bullshitting, right? Like it was a quick fun. It got me out of the house and probably restored as some small percentage of my sanity.
Oh man, quarantine.
Yeah,
it's a good time.
Just
KR Quinn,
urge to kill rising.
KR Quinn, I write. I think the article I'm most proud of is always the frontline articles on Saturday mornings.
Grognards?
That's where, that's where you see mine, and only because it's normally one of the top 5 articles and usually best whatever John writes.
I beat you last time.
We already discussed the broken clock theory.
Yeah. I was gonna say, do we need to bring up the web page or bring up the page so we can track?
No. But Danny on occasion just beats everybody out of the park with those. Everyone likes Tyranids.
Well, because nobody writes about Tyranids.
True.
So, he's one of the few people who religiously writes about Nids.
There are a lot. Again, that's one of those things that I never understood, is that Tyranids, in my experience, are a pretty popular Xenos army, if not the most popular Xenos army.
Mm-hmm.
And we get the least support. And it's just one of those things of like, come on, GW, like you've got this kind of very rabid fan base. And, again, we make the jokes all the time about like Tyranid players don't know that Rule of 3 exists. And this is speaking from a guy who has like 6 Hive Tyrants, right? Like, we will buy shit. Like I guarantee, I don't care what it is. I will buy at least 2 of a new Tyranid model. At least 2. Right. Maybe full 3. Right? Like,
yeah, you own 3 of everything, right? At least.
Almost. I don't have a real Harridan. I don't have a real Harridan. I have a like kit bash I made, but I don't have a real, because it's a much bigger model.
You have the Stone Crushers now, right?
I do have Stone Crushers. I need 1 more Toxicrene, 1 more Exocrine, 1 more Maliceptor, and 1 more of each of the flying bugs. I think I have 3 of everything.
Nice.
And I don't have 3. I need 2 more of each Hierodule. But again, I have kids, so that's probably not going to happen.
That'll take a while. You're not going to get those for a while. Yeah.
So this is why I just sock away my credit and sock away everything I can, because the moment GW is like in 9th edition, here's new Tyranid models, all my credit goes to that.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Kevin Q, which I think is KR Quinn in the chat, it says he's asking if we think there are false ideas out there in regards to what's good and what isn't due to the lack of play in most of the U.S.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Like he gets the mission and how to play them, but doesn't get how they actually play.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of people who don't even fully understand how 9th edition plays because they haven't been able to play. Right. Like there's still people out there in the groups talking about, oh, this thing sucks and this thing sucks and this thing sucks because it doesn't kill enough. And I'm like, that most of the missions don't have killing as the primary objective. Like,
right?
How do you play to the mission? And there's still people stuck in the mindset of the mission is kill more, hold more.
Something. Yeah,
right. Yeah,
that's not what it is.
And there's still people playing 8th edition armies.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't play an 8th edition army and expect to succeed in 9th edition.
Yeah, I saw this like stir up when I did a NIDS article about like Hive Guard and do you need them or not? And because they're really expensive.
I remember this,
yeah. And especially when it got shared into one of the Tyranid groups, there was a huge discussion on it. And it was just funny because the people whose name I recognize from like looking at tournaments, people I know are very good Tyranid players. They were all like, yeah, I actually don't use them very often, or like I only use them when I'm doing this style of list. And then there were just in absolute, most of them were like, oh no, man, you need them to kill stuff. And I'm just sitting here thinking like, you don't need to kill things to win in 9th edition. You just don't. You do not need to guarantee a kill a turn to win. You just need to guarantee you control objectives.
Is something I don't like.
Yes, I think that's been a less dynamic influence on the game of like, I think, because again, it goes back to the like circa 2017-18 Nova packet problem of like, you don't need to engage your opponent to win.
Right.
And that's just not fun game design. Right.
Which is kind of why I'm drawn to Space Wolves, because the whole point of them is to take the center of the board, kill everybody off the center objectives, and then hold them. Yeah. So like at least there is a little bit of that. Well, I'm supposed to assault people off the objectives, like what I'm supposed to do, and then hold them or push further. But like, some of the stuff I'm seeing is lists for like winning, where you're like, I'm not really engaging my opponent, I'm just outlasting them. I'm like, oh man, that's not my game.
No, it's not. Again, this is why for me playing Tyranids of like, if I'm like, I want to win this game, I'm bringing as many bodies as I can fit in. But if I'm going to go, and again, especially right now with Rona, if I'm going to get to actually play games, especially in a tournament with people, I'm going to bring big bugs because I want to have fun. I want to get day drunk, right? Like, and I want to have a good time. And I know I'm not bringing a list that's going to win in 9th edition, right? Like, it's just not going to. If I want to win 9th edition, I'm going to bring 200 bodies, right? And just be like, okay, well, have fun killing me off objectives.
Yeah, we're going to have to suspend you from like a harness so your back doesn't break while you're playing. Should put you in one of those things so you're like hovering over the board, and we could just like move you on a gimbal and just...
That'd be dope. That would really help.
Hook it with like a joystick, right? Like those people like the wheelchair joysticks, and you can just like move yourself forward and backwards along a track.
Oh, God.
Hung up above the table.
I'm not that bad. Jesus Christ.
Sometimes you act like a man.
Yeah, well.
Don't pick up your 50-pound, like, 12-year-old, 4-year-old anymore.
Oh my God.
I'm just waiting for his kid to choke him out.
That ain't gonna happen for a long time.
He keeps on putting his hands on your throat.
He does. It's a sign of affection. He's actually gotten a lot better about that. Although now he just hits me with his lightsaber all the time.
He just wants you to play with him.
No, I mean that's what it is.
You just gotta get into the lightsaber and smack him harder. I
do. I have like one of those nice Disneyland lightsabers, like the ones where you have to like, you do like the whole like you build it yourself, and it was one of those things of I thought when I went with my brother, this is like literally right before Disneyland shut down from the Rona, like maybe 3 weeks before. My brother and I wanted to go to the Disneyland thing together, and he was like, "Dude, do you want to do the lightsaber? I have a reservation for 2." I was like, "But I can cut it to 1, and you can just watch." And I was like, "Oh man, it's really expensive. It's like $200."
Yeah. And
he's like, "Yeah, come on." I was like, "I guess like we'll do it together. You're doing it, do it. Peer pressure, whatever. I guess like, oh fuck, okay." And then we do the experience, and like the first time I picked it up and held it, and the thing weighs like a good like 6 pounds. And like feeling the weight of it, I was like, "Holy shit, this was worth it. This was worth every fucking penny."
I can see it.
I have that, and it's fun.
I'll make sure to try it whenever we get to go back.
Dude, I cannot. It's one of the things I use because in college I would take international students. Like part of my job was to take them to like various activities around SoCal. So I went to Disneyland like fucking 7-8 times a year. And that was my job, and so I hated it. And now I have a kid. I'm like, man, I want to go back because like he loves Star Wars now, and the droid factory where he could build his own droids. He will fucking melt down, and I want to see that shit. I want to see him just be in this moment of like pure bliss of like I get to build things and it's Star Wars.
Yeah. Star Wars Land's great. I loved it with my kids when we went. We got to go in December. Again, like right before everything closed.
Yeah. I think last time I went was like in February. So like again, it was literally a few weeks before the Rona shut everything down.
So I guess we'll call it there. It's already kind of late. Just a reminder that we still have the 2020 haiku contest. We're getting a number of submissions at this point. Again, it just has to be about 2020. It can be whatever you want, as long as it's a haiku.
Yeah, it's not about me this time, thank God.
Yeah. No more.
Next year's the year of Tom.
And next year's the year of Tom. So
jackasses.
So just email your haikus to tfgradiopodcast@gmail.com. Just put haiku contest in the subject line, and First prize will be a non-Forge World Lord of War. Then it goes down to vehicle, squad box, then character box or clan pack. And that prize is provided by Gameology Pasadena, who is our sponsor, one of the new sponsor. And they're providing all the prizes for this. And it's Gameology Pasadena. Just look up the Facebook page or go to the website, gameologygames.com.
And if you're in the area, you should go check them out before everything gets shut down, because the store is looking better and better every time. I was just there on Black Friday, and it looks cool, and the area they're going to have for gaming is going to be awesome once we get to game.
And I was there for Small Business Saturday when I got my Blood Bowl stuff. But if you can't go, or you just you're just outside of the Southern California or Pasadena area, you can still order from them. You just go to their website, gameologygames.com. They'll ship anywhere. If you can, just mention that you heard from them from the show. Just
wait, don't they sell GW product at a discount?
I don't know. You'll have to go to the website because you're not allowed to advertise that if they do. But they do have other things if you play other games also. So it's a very good selection. Website's easy to navigate, and they'll ship basically anywhere. So check it out. Our other sponsor is HammerheadGames.net with their store called the Shark Tank.
Also a small business, by the way.
Yeah.
And they're actually moving to a bigger store in their building.
Yeah, I was going to go there.
Still in the Sacramento area, right?
Yeah.
It's still in the It's actually the same. It's the same location, just a different suite.
Oh, just a bigger suite.
Yeah, so they're moving to a bigger location. They've only been open for like a few months, and they're already moving to a bigger spot. They also have a consignment group. Just look up Shark Tank Consignment, and you can find basically used models.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Things like that. So
I was going to stop by because I was supposed to go up to Oregon for Thanksgiving. I was going to stop by to actually drop off stuff to the consignment.
Until you almost got the
store. Yeah, until I had to, until I had to quarantine. But like again, small business. Tony's a great guy.
Yep.
Friend of many a podcast. Friend of
and a long-time sponsor.
And again, the consignment, you need, if nothing else, it doesn't matter where you are, get on the consignment page of the Shark Tank, and so much good stuff comes through there. So much good stuff.
Yeah. So I think that's it. John, you have any last words or advice?
Nope.
I think Danny?
Same as always, play games and be nice to each other.
Just a programming note. I think we have one more episode after this before we call it for the year. Yeah, we have one more episode,
17th.
which would be the week before Christmas. And then our first episode after that will be the first Thursday after the new year, which when we announce the winners. So try to get your haikus in before the end of the year.
That would be January 7th.
Okay, thank you, Danny.
As I look at my calendar. I have to schedule these things,
Thank you, everybody, for listening. As always, whether it's through Twitch, YouTube, Apple, whatever,
Spotify.
iTunes, Spotify. We're on Spotify. We're on Amazon.
I will not spend any money, but I will give you a hearty internet high five if we are your top listed thing on Spotify.
Seriously, right? Yeah, but we're also on whatever you are currently listening to this on.
Yes, but
which is the thing I always found funny about podcasts. Yeah, you can listen to us at
Stitcher and whatever. And they list all these things. Yeah. But thanks again for listening, and we'll talk to you soon, everyone. Good night, and have a pleasant tomorrow.